hello, you guys. How are you? So we are going to give it a few seconds for people to jump on. If you know what the title is, we are going to talk about Fauci and all the stuff that is coming to light. A lot of it we've already known or we've suspected. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about things that weigh heavy on our heart and our mind. I am currently waiting for John, Tisha, and Chris to join me. So I'm going to give them a few minutes. They were having some issues logging on. So we're going to give them a few seconds. In the meantime, say hello. How are you? Hi, let's see who's on. Hello, Kathy. How are you? Hi, Chris. Hi, Lisa. Hey, Chicken Nugget Girl. Jessica. Hello, boo. How are you? Amy, hello. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Linda. Hello, Tammy. Hey, Jonathan. How are you? Hello, Chris. How are you? Hello, Angela. How are you? So I just realized, like, right before I had like a little bit of dirt on my nose. Oh, I didn't mean to give you guys a finger. My bad. Hi, Janine. How are you? So I was planting. I had today off. So I went and I got a bunch of soil. I did some plants. And I was like, shit, we're going live at 9 o'clock. So I had to wash everything off. So, and then right before the camera was going, while the 30 seconds was rolling, I realized I had dirt on my nose. I was like, shit. So anyways, that was just funny. So if you notice little dirt specks on me, it's because I was planting. I didn't have to take time to take a shower before this live. Hello, hello, hello. You look beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't trying to give you guys the finger. And I realized I got my first blister planting. Look at that. You hate to see it. I don't have a green thumb. I have a blistered thumb. Chris, I see you. So let me know when you're ready. Lisa, yes, I did get a day off. A little dirt never hurt. You're right. So I did get a day off. So our 12-hour days went back to normal on June 2nd. So starting June 2nd, we went back to normal, but I did hear we are going back to 12-hour days, June 18th. You are beautiful, Shelly. Oh, thank you. How did you get a day off? So our days off went back to normal. Our regular days went back to normal. So I was off today and yesterday. I didn't know how to act yesterday. I woke up super early, like I was ready to go to work. And my husband was like, why are you up? I was like, I don't know. I feel like I need to be somewhere. You ever had that moments like you feel you need to be somewhere? That was me yesterday, but I didn't have nowhere to be. So we are going back to 12-hour days starting June 18th through July something. I don't know. I just realized I don't like money that much. They could keep it. I miss my kids. I'm tired of the shits. I'm waiting for Chris and John, Tisha, and then we're going to get into it. So in the meantime, let's see if I can pull up a video. Tina, I haven't seen you in forever. All my lovelies are here. Rita's here. I got all my lovelies here today. Yes, I am here for it. Hey, Chelly, glad you've gotten some time off and rest. Thank you. It's been great. These 2 days, I didn't know how to act. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I try to fit everything in all at one time. You know what I mean? I'm going to pull something up and I'll start playing a video really quick while Chris and John Tisha get together. This way we're not on here for 70 hours. Give me a second. Bear with me. You guys know I have a chicken nugget brain. But we're going to talk about Dr. Fauci. And if you look on the video, the post for this video, I spelled his name wrong on purpose. It usually doesn't get flagged as much when you do that. But that being said, let's pull up a video really quick. Bear with me, my computer is buffering like my chicken nugget brain. All right, and I do not have voodoo juice in my cup just in case. That is regular H2O. All right, bear with me a second. Actually, you know what? I got a better way to start our video. So Chris, John, Tisha, and I had said that from now on, we are going to, during our videos, honor a true hero, okay? So while Chris and John, Tisha are getting ready, I am going to honor a true hero. So let me share my screen with you. Give me a second. Give me just 1 second. Share my screen. Yeah, I have to repeat everything back in my head because then it makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm the only one who does it, but don't judge me. That's all I'm saying. All right. So this is a true hero. This is Emmanuel Familia. End of watch was June 4th, 2021. He works for the Worcester Police Department. He actually jumped in to save a child that was drowning and lost his life in the process. So say a prayer for his family. I'm sure they are hurting, his police family, and he does leave a wife and children behind. This is a true hero. This man's face should be on billboards. It should be on t-shirts and everywhere else. It should be all over the media. But because this happened in Worcester, I'm sure it will not get national coverage. But this is a true hero, and we at JustUs definitely wanted to start making sure that we give me 1 second, sorry. That we honor them. Okay, so I believe Chris and John Tisha are ready. All right, so let me add them to the screen. Let's welcome Chris and John Tisha. I can't hear you guys at all. Your mic is muted.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's hot. It's so hot.
What are we here? Yep. Sound good?
We made it.
We made it.
Had some login difficulties.
Hello, everybody. Charlie, I dropped you something in the private chat for the banner for our officer here.
I got you.
There we go. So yeah, hello everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. If you're in California, we have 11 days until we're fully open. So be great.
Oh, so could you? No, once that goes off, it'll be better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Now, with this officer, Charlie, what happened with him?
He jumped in to save a child that was drowning.
In drowning where?
I'm not sure exactly. Like I know the child was drowning. I believe it was in hold on, let me get it. Bear with me 1 second.
Oh my gosh. That's so hot.
He saved trying to save multiple teens in a pond that were drowning.
And he wound up losing his life.
Yeah, he's 38 years old. His name is Emmanuel. They call him Manny. He's a 5-year veteran of the police department. He leaves behind his wife, Jennifer, and 2 children, Jovan and Jayla. A 14-year-old boy who Familia was trying to save also drowned. Familia and one of the teens were pulled from the water at Green Hill Park Friday afternoon. Megan Lamonda and Aye Tante, Tanteh, who were at the park Friday, told Mass Live they heard cries for help. Tante then called 911, urging authorities to arrive as soon as possible. At 1:35, calls came in reporting several teens struggling in the water at Green Hill Park. Officers saw a boy in the center of the pond reaching an arm up and struggling along with others in the pond. 5 officers rushed into the water. During the rescue attempt, 2 individuals were brought to shore. At this time, officers on scene realized that one of our officers were missing. Divers located officer at 2:28. Emergency medical responders began life-saving efforts at the scene. He succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. He is a hero. Lamanda, a witness who spoke to Mass Live at the scene, said of his efforts. So there were several teens dying. Him and other officers jumped into the water to save these teens. They didn't wait for the fire, for paramedics or anyone else to arrive. They were the first on scene. They literally went into action, and unfortunately, he lost his life in the process.
Okay. All right, inmates. I brought up a picture of where this was located, so we could, if you want to give the those that are watching an idea. So we can see it was an actual pond. So that's crazy. And these are the things that, like we discussed, like these are the
Can
things
you make
that
it bigger?
that's what I was trying to go with. No.
That's all right.
So, but yeah, we had talked about doing this every video and or every live we do. So this way we can pay our respects to these officers that serve our communities. And you know, here we go again, somebody who saved, you know, try to save multiple lives and in the process lost his own. So this is a true American hero right here.
Sorry, the hubby just got here. But no, you're absolutely right. These are the heroes that we should start recognizing. These are the heroes that I feel like these are the heroes we should be talking about. They should be remembered. Their name should be implanted in our children's head for years to come. And unless people like us do that, it's not going to happen. Did you guys know about this story before I posted it?
No.
I didn't know either, actually. Austin sent this to me. And that's a problem. Like, I personally think that's a problem. Why is that not coverage? Because every time an officer is involved in the shooting, that's covered.
Yes.
Why is it when they're jumping in to save people's lives and then people could see like all the good things officers are doing to save kids' lives as opposed to the one time an officer's involved in the shooting and we don't know exactly what happened? You know what I mean? So yeah. We will bring it to you from now on. So I was really glad that Austin actually sent that to me because I was like, we did say we were going to recognize heroes during every show. So there we go.
And we will continue to do it. And I'll be honest with you, like I know we have the Officer Down Memorial page. Even though I want to go on it, I don't, for the reason I don't want to go on it and then see something on the news. I kind of like when we're doing this and it's like when we jump on the page and it's like, here's all the people we didn't know about. And then occasionally we hear about the ones like that maybe come up on Facebook, like or kind of hit the local news, like Officer was it Jimmy Lynn from Stockton. You know, that one was on the news. There wasn't a lot said about him, but you know, we do get those occasionally, but it gives us an opportunity to when we come on here, see, you know, if we don't go a week, I'm looking at the page right now and 16, 17, easy 19 more officers have lost their lives in the line of duty since the last time we have done a live. I think the last live we did was about Officer, was it Jimmy Lynn? And there was one more right after that.
Yeah, right there. Go back. Wasn't it Burright?
No, I don't think he was on the page.
No, it was.
Yeah, there was a couple more.
The one in Stockton was, I think, the last one. Him and I think two other ones. It was around.
You know what? Because they all at the same time. So the last time we said we were able to say anything was May 11th, May 12th.
Correct.
And we are now June 4th. That's almost a whole month. And almost 20 more officers have been killed in the line of duty or in the line of duty. So
right. And we've been a little off just because life has been a little crazy. Right after that, literally right after that, well, I think right during that time, I lost one of my younger cousins, And then I went to that funeral. And then right when I got back, I went to 12-hour days, literally the very next day. And I was on 12-hour days until June 2nd. So we've been trying to coordinate to get together to come and do this, to just start getting our videos back going. And we are going to be on top of it. But unfortunately, sometimes life happens and we are all trying to work with each other. Thank God I have an amazing team. And we are all like trying to just, you know, we understand that life happens. And John Tisha and Chris are very understanding of my life and crap that goes on. And I'm very understanding of theirs. So, and we want to do it together because I think that when we all put our minds together, it's just, I think it's just so much better, to be honest.
Agreed.
All right, so let's get rolling. So what today's topic was?
Fau Ci. And I didn't really see any other specific topics, but really just about truth and falsities.
So,
which Fauci, like, the poster boy for falsities.
Well, that fits him perfect. Were you guys able to watch any of the videos that I sent you guys?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. So if
I started to watch one. I was at work.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can play.
Fau Ci.
Let's see which one I can play. Give me a second. I'm gonna mute myself really quick because it'll echo. Hold on. Chris, if you can pull up, can you pull up the one with Hannity? Can you play that one and we could watch a little bit of that together and then you can stop it and we can talk about it as it goes? This way people who don't understand what's happening. So I think that all three of us have had the idea that we didn't trust Fau Ci from the beginning. I'll speak for myself first. I didn't trust him because of the fact that I knew what his roles were when HIV and AIDS were big and his push for the AZT treatment for AIDS that killed a lot of people. I don't know the exact number, but it killed a lot of people, my uncle being one of them. So I didn't trust him there. And then just looking at who he was and what his background was, I was just like, yeah, this guy don't sound right. He didn't sound right. And then once kind of like Trump shut him down, where remember initially he was like talking and he was the one speaking and Trump was just kind of standing there. And then Trump was like, yeah, you're not speaking no more. I was like, ooh, there's a reason. I know there's tea behind that.
He said, excuse me, little guy.
Yeah, he was like, next. So yeah, so I was like, no. So I think we've all kind of pretty much been on the page where I thought he was a little weasel. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna call it like I see it. I think he was a little weasel, and I think that he's all about the Benjamins. Period. I don't think he cares about life at all. This is another thing. Let me say this before we play that.
She's getting closer. She's getting closer to the camera, so it's got to be good. Hold on. Go ahead. Tell me.
So I'm gonna whisper in your ear. So
I got big ears, so
I do too. It must be a Mexican.
They deliver that boat, right?
What do you say? She muted. She's like, hold on.
No, he asked me because we ordered something overnight. So he was asking if they delivered it. But I didn't see anything, so I don't know. But anyways, so when I was talking about Fau Ci, so all the stuff that's coming out on him, I never trusted him anyway, to be honest. I never trusted him. I thought he was a weasel. If you go back to even when Obama was in office, like them two doing all this stuff in like Wuhan with his labs and all this stuff, I was like, So yeah, I don't trust him. I think he's a weasel, but I digress. You ready for the video?
Yep, we got it up.
All right. And then just stop it and talk about it as you see fit. I'm going to eat in the meantime. Sorry, I haven't eaten.
No, we're good.
All right. I'm going to mute myself.
All right, and here we go.
All right, you've been saying it. Ted Cruz has been saying it. Senator Kennedy's been saying it. And Senator Rand Paul has been saying it. And I credit all of you. Why? Let's start with the basics. Why, please tell me, in the name of Jesus in heaven, why would we give China and their Wuhan lab of virology one single solitary penny? Let's start there.
Well, number one, it seems to me China's got a lot of money. They can pay for their own research. But the most stunning thing out of your monologue to me was the idea that Dr. Fauci doesn't believe that it's in China's interest to lie about the leak from their lab. The person from NBC asked him, isn't it in their interest to lie to the world and not admit it came from their lab because that'd make them look terrible? If you can't figure that out, then you've got a real problem on your hand. Candor and openness and transparency do not go in the same sentence when it comes to China. So what to do? Call Dr. Fauci before the Senate and the House. Allow the people in the State Department who were silenced about pushing the lab leak theory to have their say. Hold those responsible who shut down this conversation. Make sure they're fired and get to the bottom of what happened. And finally, introduce sanctions, bipartisan, against China if they don't cooperate with the international community. They will never tell you the truth until they're made to do so.
He was told January 31st, 10 days after the first identified case of corona in the U.S.
He was told.
So
But the day that
stop right there. I hope everybody let us know if you guys are getting good audio.
I didn't hear it. It's just a little low, but I could hear it.
All right, yeah, the volume's all the way up on our end.
Just X out of that.
So, oh man, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Kind of what we were going to talk about. Ooh.
Sorry. No.
All right, so
Don't
it
accept
sounds
that.
good. Lies. We know. All right, we got it coming in. The audio's good. We know Fauci has flip-flopped from the beginning. I mean, from the get-go. There's no need to wear a mask if you're healthy. Wear a mask no matter what. He's went back and forth. I think right now it's nice to finally see that the media is actually somewhat acknowledging that he's went back and forth without really silencing it or silencing people on social media. For example, like you can somewhat talk about there being a virus that came out of Wuhan. You might have to be a little careful exactly what you say, but you could at least mention it on Facebook and not worry about getting flagged or banned or anything like that because it is acceptable. So we'll keep rolling.
Donald Trump put in place that xenophobic, hysterical travel ban that probably saved countless hundreds of thousands of lives. The one that Joe called xenophobic, hysterical, and all that. 10 days in, he was told it looks engineered, that the sequence of the virus show every indication that, in fact, this gain of function had happened. 10 days in. Now, the question
This is why we need.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is why we need to call Dr. Fauci before the. Doesn't this remind you a little bit about the dossier?
Yeah,
they
a lot.
Knew it was bad, and they kept. Why? Okay, they knew it was bad, but they had an outcome they wanted, which was to blame Trump, right? Well, they shut down the idea that it could have come from the lab because the Chinese scientists will never admit to that because it makes them look incompetent. And the American scientists who have a working relationship with the Chinese scientists, it would make them look incompetent. We need somebody outside the science world to get to the bottom of this. And I think this is a job for Congress.
Senator, we now
have evidence. First, we play this.
I was going to say, you're going to do it on this one.
Yeah. So I will say with everything, that's my personal opinion. Do we really want him going in front of Congress? I mean, is this really a job for Congress? Because I'll be honest, I'm really not feeling.
Well, who else is going to do it?
I don't
Who
know.
else is he going to go before? Who else is going to go before to be able to unseat him? Who else has the power for that?
I mean, that's a good question.
And that's why he said, that's why they're saying to go before Congress. Now my question is, remind me, so the Senate is before Congress, right? Like in terms of like when bills have to get passed through or whatever, it goes through the floor of the Senate and then up to Congress, correct? Yeah? Okay, so they're trying to push it past Senate. I'm assuming push it past Senate because who runs Congress?
So what we're getting to is, so real quick, so senators represent the entire state.
Yeah.
Members of the House represent individual districts. Today's Congress consists of 100 senators, 2 from each state, and 435 voting members of the House of Representatives. So
House, then Senate. Okay, so Senate is the top.
Correct.
Okay, so they want to push it to Congress in order to push it up to Senate to get him out. So what is the issue with that? Because I know there are some things in Congress that get passed that shouldn't get passed because it's left-leaning, no?
that's what I'm looking up right now, and that's
They have the House and the Senate. Democrats have House and Senate now.
Okay.
they're the majority, and that's I just want
So
to
then,
double check.
okay, then I understand your question.
Yeah, that's why I had to double check to make sure I was saying that right, and that's why I'm saying. And usually I'm on top of this stuff.
Well, then
like
that
I know,
question
but,
is right though. Then who did we go to?
and no, your question is right, but and I'm saying like I don't think Congress is going to be able to do anything. Like, yeah, take Fauci in front of Congress. These are all the same people that were backing him. I don't think they're going to come out and turn against him. They might. I mean, because the left turns against each other quite often. But then again, they also know how to come together and be one big,
One big
unit. Yeah, dysfunctional unit. So I don't know. I think if it's really going to hurt their party or it's not in the best interest of them, they'll brush it under the rug. Yeah. Oh, we have a guest today. We have a guest today. She's sitting and watching.
My dear friend Cece is with us.
Yeah.
Hi.
So-
Hi, Cece.
Yeah. So should they, I think they'll definitely. She made a good point. I think they'll brush it under the rug. Yeah.
So then the next
Right.
question is,
Hold on. I'm going to actually say I don't think they're going to brush it under the rug. This is my conspiracy theory moment, okay? We all need a video. Here's mine. I think they're going to throw his ass under the bus and run his ass over. That's what I think.
and run far away from it.
You might be right.
Because they don't want to look bad either, right?
I think the Democrats always need a fucking fall guy.
And he's going to be it. Now that you say that, Charlie, you might be right because I made this. I made a comment about like last year sometime. I was telling people, watch one day the virus is going to be gone. It's just everything's just going to be gone. We're going to forget about it. Everything's going to go back to normal, and we're going to move on and move forward. And you might be right. They might just toss him under the bus. He might be the scapegoat. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why they want to take him to Congress. So, no,
I think there's way too much right now with everything that's been dropping within the last, I think it's been 5 days, 7 days, maybe. I don't know. I might be a little reaching. Let's say 5 days, however many days it's been. But I think that there's just way too much there. And I think he's just not important enough for them not to fucking throw him under the bus, run his ass over, and then reverse on his ass. Because they need a fall guy to cover their shit. But what I've been saying to people is that we have to remember that Fauci is not the top dog. He might be making decisions, but he has a boss.
Right. Well, and Megan Polson said it's ourselves at this point. And so that brings another good segment as well. If government doesn't do anything like they need to do, what the people are calling for, the people are going to have to rise up and make some noise at some point. And just like they did, when they want to impeach someone, or when they want to bring attention to someone who they don't want in office anymore, or being a representative for them or whatever, at some point, if government doesn't do what they're supposed to do or need to do, then the people are going to have to rise up and be loud about it, to demand that something happen, to demand repercussions.
Yeah. And just to touch on what Amy said, Amazon did cancel his book deal because he had like a really nice book deal in the process. So they did cancel his book deal. So I'm like, if they're canceling his ass, and when other people are showing shit, for especially news media that we know are not friendly to people with conservative values, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna run his ass right over with that bus.
Before I go back to playing the video to finish it up, so they were using that word xenophobic, right? And just to put it out there, what I thought was funny is the way, and we've talked about this many of times, the way that they use words. Xenophobic is having or showing a dislike or prejudice against people from another country or from other countries. It's not, if somebody's Asian American and you have a prejudice against somebody who's Asian American, that's not necessarily xenophobic, because they're technically from this country. And I dislike how the left, the Democrats, play with words, and they do it to keep that divide going. So when they were talking about xenophobic, they took it because, yes, President Trump may at times had xenophobia, or however you want to say, however it's supposed to be said, against China for what they were doing, as far as trade deals or the virus. So yes, he may have been xenophobic during that period of time, but that does not in itself make him racist. And I dislike how they took that and said he's xenophobic, which means he's racist, which means that he hates Asian Americans. When they do it in that order, and it creates this divide and this hate. And if people understood what these people on the media were talking about and understood the definitions and went and looked and researched, I think more people would start to wake up and being, seeing that they're being lied to.
They're being bamboozled.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Take many times Joe Biden.
Hold on before you play it. So I don't even think that they called him xenophobic just because of that, because it was like something against Asians. I think that they called him xenophobic when he made those restrictions so that they wouldn't fly in, no flights in from China.
Well, initially it was from China.
Right, it was initially from China, correct. And then the next one right after China, I believe it was Europe.
Yeah.
So they wanted to say that he was xenophobic because of that, not just I don't think it even had anything to do with the restrictions, like the tariffs and all that stuff. I think it was because, if you remember, like right after that, Nancy Pelosi went to Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And she was like, oh, we're fine. Everything's great. Come on down. She made it like a big ass shit show. Remember that? I think they just wanted to say it because they felt like saying it.
No, I agree with you. And that's why I said
Trump.
No, I agree with you, Charlie. And that's why I said they started off with xenophobia. And after it ran its course, because he didn't want to let people come into the nations, or he just, they found whatever reason. So 100% agree with you. The flights, whatever they could bring up. And then what I'm saying is, then if you watch the progression, then they were able to take and say, well, not only is he xenophobic, but he's racist. And then you watch 3 or 4 months down the road, they turned that into Asian American hate, crimes or whatever. And he hates Asian Americans. Like there's always an end point to it. That's what I was getting to. They started with xenophobia and ended with Asian hate.
Well, excuse me.
Oh,
But did you see now, like there's certain news media, the stuff that they were talking about Trump and all this stuff like back then, where they were kind of like building up this whole xenophobia thing, this whole racist bullshit up leading up to the campaign, and all the stuff about COVID. Remember when he called it a hoax, etc. Well, now they're starting to say even regular media that doesn't support conservative leaning people or people with conservative values, they're starting to say he's right. I've heard it literally about 5 times, and I'm thinking it's too late now, fuckers.
Yeah.
Fucking Sleepy Joe.
Hey, one of the best things I heard earlier to what you're saying is I think I remember if it was Tim Pool or I listened to a couple people in the morning on the way to work, and they were saying like, hey, they said that Trump was coming out and was hushing Fauci, and that Fauci was actually the one trying to alert everybody to what was going on. But now, if you watch what's going on, actually, it was Trump that was trying to alert everybody, like, hey, here's what's going on, and it was actually Fauci that was gaslighting everybody. And they're actually, I mean, that's actually, they're not going to say Trump his name, but they are acknowledging that Fauci actually may have been lying to us the whole time. Which, I mean, if people would get out of their own way, then you would see that maybe Donald Trump was really trying to tell us something, whether you like him or not.
Correct. Okay, sorry. Continue.
All right, here we go. I'm going to get it. Where is my...
It's in front of you.
No, I'm trying to go here. Yep, there.
I'd never talked to my son Hunter about his foreign business dealings, not one time, never. Now we've got pictures of Joe in restaurants with oligarchs from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Does America now have to worry that the Chinese have compromising material on the Biden family? Because in my view, there's no rational reason that the president would give a waiver for Putin to build his pipeline while taking away American jobs and American energy independence. On the other hand, it doesn't make any sense why Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan and Chase, they didn't get the $1.5 billion deal with the Bank of China that Hunter got it, the crack addict. So you explain to me, do we have to worry about this administration compromise? Because if it was Donald Trump as president, that would be the narrative every single second hour of every 24-hour day.
Absolutely, Sean, because you have irrational business relationships. Why would a bank in China give Hunter Biden money except for the fact that he has connections to Vice President Biden? Why is he on Burisma's board in the Ukraine if he doesn't know anything about the oil and gas business because of his last name and the fact that Vice President Biden was in charge of rooting out corruption in the Ukraine? It defies common sense that these are normal business deals. Is it illogical to think that somehow, due to his activity in the Ukraine and China, he may have been compromised? I can guarantee you if a Republican president's son had done this, or a Republican vice president's son had done these things, it'd be front page news all over the world. And you ask a good question. Has he been compromised? What explains allowing Russia to build a pipeline and you shut one down in your own country? How does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't. You just got back from Israel, real quick, a summary, because I see nothing but an unmitigated disaster. A weak American president and no Bibi on the world stage.
Yeah. Well, Bibi, don't count him out, but no matter what happens, the right, the middle, and the left in Israel, they're very worried about the Iran nuclear deal. They hate the JCPOA. And here's what Biden is doing. He's going to create a nuclear arms race if we go back into the Iran agreement, because the Arabs are going to want their own enrichment capability, and then we'll have a nuclear arms race. Secondly, Israel will not tolerate an enrichment program in Iran. We're headed for a war between Israel and Iran. If we go back in the JCPOA, we're going to have a nuclear arms race between the Arabs and the Iranians, and you're going to put Israel in a bad spot where you'll have a war between Iran and Israel if we go back into this bad deal. And I heard that from everybody in Israel, not just Bibi.
All right, Senator, great to see you. Thank you.
Is that better? I don't know. We tried to put the laptop volume up.
The last time you did it, it was fine. Like right now, towards the end, I heard it perfectly clear.
We're not watching those.
All right. Cece made a good point. She's actually making some really good points tonight. A lot of things are coming full circle right now.
Give her a seat.
We should. Come on.
No.
No, maybe next time.
Next time.
We'll work into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's coming full circle. I don't think we're going to get everything that we probably want to see come out in the light. I don't think it's all going to happen. I think we might get a lot of it come out. They as time goes on, especially if Joe Biden's not doing what he's supposed to do, which we know he's kind of not. But I think if it gets worse, you're really going to start seeing them.
He's kind of not. He's for sure
Yeah,
not.
he's for sure not. But I think we're going to start seeing more of that where they're going to let things go. Like they're going to. I agree with you, Charlie. They're going to throw. I can see them throwing Fauci under the bus. I think they're. If things get too hot, they're going to throw Hunter Biden out there, and then they'll let Biden go. And it's all going to be to hush stuff, and they're going to put the focus on that.
Biden won't let them have Hunter.
I
He
mean,
won't do it.
I think they'll both go together. I think they'll throw Hunter in. They'll throw Biden's ass in because look at him.
No. They're gonna if
They
they
only needed him to secure the election. That's all they needed. He was
yes,
the only strong running candidate against Trump. So they needed him to secure the win. He's already got that. Now he's disposable.
yeah. If they go after Hunter, Biden's going to jump in. They're not going to have to go after Biden. Biden's going to jump in because that's his kid.
Yeah.
and I agree with you. I think both of you. I think he'll jump in, and I think they'll let them both go. I do think we're going to start to see some things come around, and things are going to come to the light. Like I said, maybe not everything that we would want to see, but it'll be enough to get the ball rolling, at least this year. And then who knows? Maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, maybe they'll bring up January 6th. Let's say 4 years down the road during re-election. Then you might start to see, hey, this thing that we called the insurrection 4 years ago wasn't really, and the reason why it was pushed because they don't want a Democratic person in, let's say AOC. Maybe she's too radical for them. I think they'll reverse what they've done or what they've said just to keep somebody out of running for a position, if I'm making sense.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. But you said AOC, and my eyes was like,
I don't know.
I do not like her whatsoever. I think she is a fucking moron. I have not heard anything smart come out of her mouth whatsoever. And I think she is a disgrace to Latinos, period. Yes, I said it.
I definitely agree that she's misguided. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the people need to holler more.
Yeah. And I think that as far as Fauci, Hunter, Biden, I mean, let's look back from decades and decades. The Democrats are great having a patsy.
Right.
They've always covered their tracks. I will say they're not fucking stupid by any means.
Right, but that's how they get away with a lot of things. And right now, there's not enough noise from the people who are unhappy with what's going on, which the last 4 years, everyone who wasn't happy was hooting and hollering and, being destructive. I'm not saying we should be destructive, but I'm saying if we have voices, then they need to be used and they need to take action on the streets and really put it out there if we want to make a change like that, especially up on a larger scale, because right now nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. People are upset, but nothing is happening to change that or to appease that. And they're going to ride with it. The government's going to ride with it because if no one's making a hoot and holler, then they're just gonna be like, well, if they're not, if they're not doing anything or taking any action or using their voice to really let us know what's really going on, then we're just gonna leave it as is.
Well, I think that even if people hoot and holler about it, I think that when it's that high up and it's that horrible, like I think even if they draw anything about Fauci, even if they pull Fauci, even if they call his card, do I think that Fauci is going to wind up in jail or anything like that? No. The powers above him are too, what's the word that I'm looking for? I think that they have people everywhere, and I think that nothing is going to happen. Has he paid at all for any of the people that he's killed with the whole AZT thing? No, he hasn't. He's not been held accountable. No one's talking about it anymore because they have been master manipulators at making people believe what has happened in the past. Let's leave it in the past. Let's move forward. And then they use that and draw it back when it's convenient, just like with slavery. Oh, now let's draw it back and put it back up on the forefront because they are master manipulators and they get people to dance to their tune.
I agree with you. And I think you bring a point, like, so we're talking about, Fauci getting thrown under the bus, but at the same time, how many times have things come out about politicians where either it comes out and it's just them and they have to face the courts or somebody else, or it's other politicians going after them, right? And they're throwing them under the bus. But how many of them have actually ever faced any type of criminal, time or time, or had any, to pay any money? More often than not, we're going to see something like what Fauci. They're going to, and he's not a politician, but he's, regardless of what anybody may feel, how they feel about it. I think we can all kind of agree that he's kind of in the party. Like he's up there with the politicians now after this last, we could say couple years, and maybe he's always been, but he's in that in crowd, and they'll throw him on, they'll throw him under the bus. But I don't think he'll pay for any of it. They'll just use him as a scapegoat, and then they'll say, hey, we're sorry we threw you under the bus and backed over you a couple, and hit you a couple times, but we're not going to penalize you. We're not going to charge you for any crimes. We're not going to charge you any debts. Yeah, we just needed you to fix this issue over here, and well, pretty much you're just not going to, you're not going to have a name anymore, but we're not going to put you in prison or fine you money. And something like that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, somebody like him in that position, they're just going to go, okay, and they're going to take it because he can't fight the system. He's one man, and he lost all his support because the people that, like the American people that could have backed him, he's not going to get no support.
Well, I think that he doesn't give a fuck, to be honest. And I'm going to say he doesn't give a fuck because look how much money he's made. He is the highest paid person in the government. Did you guys know that? He's the actually highest paid person in the government.
800,000.
He is the highest paid government employee. And I'm thinking, do you think that for all these years, let's go back to the Obama years when he was down in Wuhan, they have videos and images of Obama being down there. And what people are not talking about is, who paid for coronavirus? We did. Americans. We paid for that shit. Like, make that make sense. Like,
you ever feel like
why are they not talking about why you would take SARS and add this other chemical or whatever it is that they add? I don't know the right term, but why would you add this other component, for lack of a better word, to it?
mRNA.
That would mess up your lungs. That would mess up humans' lungs. Why are we even funding shit like that?
Yeah, the genetic changing, right?
no,
It's not the genetic changing. It's not the genetic changing. It's a component that they add to the SARS virus.
I
so
was
that
listening.
it attacks your lungs.
I was
And
listening
might
to something
kill
this
you,
morning.
basically, which is what COVID is doing.
Yeah, I was listening to something this morning. They said it was like I think it was like a fungus, or there was something else. Like they took it, and the reason for it is that almost like spores, like it's allowing the virus to really attach to the lungs, and it's harder to get it off. I can't remember what it is, so I don't want to say because like I said, it was brief this morning when I was listening to it, but I know there was more to it.
Yeah,
And
I can't remember what it's called
Kelly,
either.
is that what do you ever, like, as we're talking about this, because you say, why would we fund, China, or but doesn't it seem like we always fund a lot of stuff, and we always seem to be in the middle of stuff, and a lot of times, like, we're funding this stuff in China, and then it comes back and it bites us in the ass later down the road, and we'll fund some other shit in some other country, and it comes back and bites us in the ass, just like with oil in the Middle East. Who knows, or us picking up these guys from the Middle East, we bring them over here, we educate them, and then we put them back in the Middle East. And then next thing you know, they got power somewhere, or whatever it be. We always seem to do that. And we haven't learned, or I can't even say that.
Just like Tom McDonald said, he says they create chaos so they can be the savior.
Yeah. And a lot of times, no, I think we do it because we do know the outcome. We do know that what it's going to do for us strategically.
Master, like I said, master manipulators. They are super fucking good at it. Just like did you hear him when Hannity was talking about war and stuff like that? How that's going to break out and stuff like that? Of course it is. Did anyone ever think that the Democrats getting in power again with presidency, with the House and the Senate, with Congress and the Senate in control, did you think that it's not? Because war makes money.
Right.
Thrive on that shit. They live on that shit. Of course that's going to happen. I think that's like even not a no-brainer, to be honest.
Real quick, Kay Taylor, I definitely will double check that out. From what I heard this morning, and because honestly didn't look into it, they said he made double what the president makes. The president makes around $400,000 a year. They were saying he made about $800,000 a year. If you're saying he makes a little under $500,000, I'll double check that, because I believe it was 500,000. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I've heard different stuff.
Still, he's the highest president. He's the highest government, hands down, of what he's making. So I don't think that Fauci, plus all the other stuff he's done, I don't think he gives a shit if they throw his ass under the bus. Look, how old is he anyway?
I don't know. So
he looks old as dirt. And I don't have anything against elderly people. I'm getting old myself, but I'm thinking like he's getting older. Look at him. So I don't think he gives a shit. He has probably more money than he can deal with. So he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go hide under my rock unbothered with all my millions that I've made from all this nonsense. I can't see it. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Chris did it when he walked away. He's 80.
See, exactly. So he's 80 years old. Do you think he gives a shit about if he's doing anything else? No, because they'll find another little puppet right under him who's going to be a patsy and dance to their tune. So that's what I think about that. But you guys stay woke. Pay attention. Listen to what's happening around you. We all have said to you from day one, we're not here to make you think like we think. We are here to plant a seed in you to start researching for yourself. Because you have children and you have grandchildren that you are going to leave this world to. We want to leave them with the tools that they need to be successful in making America great again.
Correct.
Period.
Correct. Even in their life.
Yes.
Am I echoing?
No.
Okay, weird.
Well, one little thing before we move on to the next subject. If you guys please like and share the video. We would greatly appreciate it. I personally know for a fact that I am being shadow banned. So it helps with the algorithms of Facebook. So please like and share the video. In doing that, when you share the video, under your privacy settings, if you can make it public, when it's public, it'll look like a little world. When it's private, like just your friends, it'll just look like little people. If you can make it public, we would also greatly appreciate that, because then more people get to see the video and it reaches more people. So please and thank you. John, Tisha, and Chris, what else you got?
Yes, Shirley, we see you, and welcome Leslie Smith, first time listener.
Yes, welcome. How are you? Let's put her. Let's give her a woohoo!
Woohoo!
Welcome. We appreciate you.
All right. So our next topic was, how are we going about this?
I don't know how do you want to talk.
What's on your
Is there
mind?
anything else other than Fauci that we have up on the plate?
Well, I had just put the title like what's ever like weighing on our hearts and our minds, especially with the way things are being so crazy, just in general.
Okay. So with that being said, are you ready to move on, Chris, to what you want to talk about?
Yes. So you just want me to open up and just let everybody know where we're heading with this, or?
Well, okay. So what was it, last week?
Here,
I'll
get it. All right. So we'll put it like this. Maybe for like the next, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes or so, because I know we all, some of us got plans. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. But about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we were watching it live, and I got a notification from Streetlights saying that Streetlights had went live, and the title was,
But you didn't know what the title was when you went to go watch
No,
it.
I seen it.
Oh.
I seen it. That's why I clicked on it. And I just want to read it, so this way it's word for word what it was. This it was about a week ago. It was Adam a beta male? Now, I just want to speak personally. One, when I started this whole thing, and I think the first live I jumped on with Cash, I really believed what we were doing was a good thing, and I still believe what we're doing is a good thing. For me, Streetlights, when we were talking, was about bringing people together from different backgrounds, allowing open communication, trying to reach middle ground, and really uniting people, right? So when I seen the notification, I was like, wow. To me, I kind of got a little irritated, because I was like, was Adam a beta male? Is a topic on Streetlights? Let's see what this is about. I jumped on. I listened to a good portion of Sunni and others, what they were saying, and it was wrong. To me, it was wrong. And if you've read the Bible, I think you might agree. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. There were some things that were said that just were not accurate. And for somebody to say, like, this is what it is, it's fact, Adam was a beta male. And for them to go on that topic, I was like, man, I got a little irritated. And I told John Tisha, I said, hey, look, listen to what these guys are saying. This is crazy. I will be the first one to tell you, yes, I did call Sunni a hypocrite. I did retract it, and then I put another statement back out there, and I kind of said something along the same lines, because in the moment, and still to this day, I felt I feel that she was being hypocritical. It wasn't so much to attack her as, I want to say, as a person. I wasn't trying to bash her, but what the statements that were being made to me it made me feel strong enough to say, hey, I got to call you on this. I did. And when I got invited on the show, I felt like I spent a majority of the time talking with this guy, Eric. I wanted to get on and explain myself to Suni, which is what I'm going to do today. I wound up getting sidetracked with this dude, Eric. And we got off on a subject about California and Caitlyn Jenner. And we kind of kept going at it, hashing it out. We had different political views. We both call ourselves conservatives. And then when it came to Suni, it was kind of at that point, I was already irritated with this dude and a couple of other comments that were made. I don't feel like I was being overly aggressive. I rewatched the video. I did sit there and listen to a lot of what they had to say. I guess I did chime in, and yes, I did take over a couple times. I'll admit that. They, were trying to talk, and I just kept talking because I was trying to get my point out. So yes, there were some downfalls on my part, and I'll accept all of it. I did kind of go at Suni a little hard at the end, and by that point, I was a little frustrated with the whole thing.
Which had nothing to do with her being a female.
Which, yes, and that's where I was going to. We did go, because I know Suni well enough. I figured it's only a matter of time before she goes and drops a video to talk about what just happened. So I watched the video. I heard her out. I didn't respond to it. I seen the comments, and I've had a couple people in our comments, and this is where I appreciate you guys showing up, and I appreciate the love. I've had some people come and say, "Hey, no, we don't agree with everything she says," and that's kind of not the point. But it was nice to hear that, like, hey, people do feel like she takes it that far. I'm all for constructive feedback. If I say something that may seem really out of pocket, like Charlie, John Tisha, anybody knows, like, hey, let me know if I'm wrong, like in the comments. If it's not 800,000, it's 500,000, whatever. I'll go ahead and correct it. Yeah, I was a little strong with the media's not pushing Caitlyn Jenner. I don't believe they're pushing Caitlyn Jenner in a positive way. Yeah, the conservative networks might be giving her some airtime, but it's not always 100% positive. Therefore, to me, it's just making her look bad.
Don't get sidetracked.
I know. So what I'm getting to is, yes, I know. I'll go to this one. I know I came across a little rude and aggressive. I get that. I found a lot of what was going on hypocritical, and I had to get on there and say something. If somebody, like these people can do the same thing, and they could jump on the shows and kind of get into it with people, hey, I'm going to do it right back to them, because that's kind of where I was pulled to. And at the end of the day, I wasn't attacking Suni because she was a woman. I've done many shows. Like, look, most of the times I'm the only guy on the show with John Tisha and Shelly and Brittany. I don't try to run the show. I've never been disrespectful to anybody. I've seen some of the comments. I don't think that, honestly, I disagreed with Suni so much. I'm going to put it out there with her statement about women being in leadership positions. It was hypocritical what she said, and then she turns around and she's a lead on her show. I think that's great that she leads a show. I think it's great that these women right here stand up and they lead the show, that there's leaders in our church amongst other women. Charlie's a leader in her community. She steps up and she's a police officer. So at no point was I trying to disrespect Suni because she was a woman. And I just wanted to make that clear. And because I seen some of the comments, and it's pretty much what it was. I mean, so that's kind of where I was at that moment. Where else? I don't know, Charlie, you want to kind of weigh in, or because
I think the whole point of that really was that whole conversation kind of went away from what he actually wanted to talk about. And so he's getting that off his chest. Also, I think oftentimes social media kind of works like that. We haven't been online consistently in a while. And so regular viewers that have been with us for a very long time, they understand the heart of who we are. And a lot of people who might have seen Chris for the first time that day might have interpreted that in again, like a strong and hurtful way. Period. But also a lot of viewers also don't know the relationship between the rest of us, all of us as a whole. You don't know the relationship that we have backstage or anything like that. So that kind of, that weighs in on it as well, what people may perceive, and that's not actually that. Now, did you have something to say, Shelly? You look like you want to say something.
Oh no, because Chris had asked my opinion.
But go.
No,
Well,
no,
you were muted. So. Sorry.
I didn't realize I was muted, but no, go ahead, finish.
Period. So, period. So what you see is not, I mean, again, if you're not interacting with us, if you're not, following us for a majority of the time, it's easy to have seen it that way. Period. I know, like Jeff is saying, you attacked her because she did not agree with you. That is the only reason. That's not exactly what was happening, or the intention behind it. And again, like I said, sometimes when you don't know the relationship between the people, or you haven't watched certain people for a certain amount of time, a misunderstanding of who they are often happens when you jump in, when something like that just kind of happens. So.
And here's the thing. I know you guys may have felt like I attacked her, but I really spent most of the time talking to that dude, Chris.
Which kind of took the conversation a totally different way than it was supposed to go.
And there was a few
not
moments.
His fault. It's just something that happened.
And again, and I'm gonna set. You guys are right. Like, okay, yeah, Little Grouchy, very, very possibly true. I mean, I'm not gonna say possibly true. Yeah, I was.
He was frustrated.
I was frustrated. I was irritated.
Passionate. He was.
What I came on.
Things.
Yes, it was more of a passionate thing, and the reason why. And I want to go over a couple of things because. And this way, people understood why I did take the step that I took. One, was Adam a beta male? The first thing is, if you're a follower of Christ and you're reading the Bible, for me, it's like, why is that even a conversation? Why are you guys talking about this like God's creation was not perfect? God created man and woman, and it wasn't. I wanted to get on there and clear that up with Sunni, and not to argue, but to say, hey, look, you kind of took this all wrong. Like, this shouldn't even be a show. You guys should not be talking about Adam being a beta male. God created a perfect creation. Him and you got to go more into the story. But to say that he was being lustful, to say that he was excuse my language, but this is what was said on the show, to say that he was pussy whipped, and to go that far, I just didn't find it funny. And if you guys have watched me, I don't, at least not that I think of, I never really jumped on a show and got that aggressive with somebody, but I was like, this is just wrong. And if we're talking about, bringing people together or leading people in the right way, that's not the right way to lead people. And it wasn't because I'm right. It's just the fact, go back and read your Bible and read what it says. He created them in his image. They were perfect. The other things that were said was, there was a comment from Sunni made about women not being in leadership positions and always ragging on men being beta males and they should be this. And I'll go here, the spiritual leaders. And what I was going to tell her is like, hey, look, if your husband's a spiritual leader of your household, did you talk to him about this conversation? These were things I wanted to ask her. Did you talk to your husband about this conversation? Before you jumped on here and did this live. He is the spiritual leader in your household. And this is me holding her to her word and to what the Bible says. You should have went and talked to him before you came up in front of everybody, including men, because this is what the Bible says, before you started preaching, because to me, that's what it was. You were given a sermon. You were telling people what the Bible said. Am I still on track with what we were talking about? Yes. I don't want to mislead anybody. And I'll be the first one to tell you, we do read, we have our Bible studies. I do try to be the spiritual leader in my household, but hey, John Tisha's sharp on it. She did that. That's like her area. And I'm not going to be offended if somebody be like, oh, well, you're not the spiritual leader. You're not being a man. Hey, we all have our gifts. And I'm telling you, this woman's got an amazing gift. And she's very talented. And so she's taught me a lot. And as I'm sitting there watching this, I'm like, yo, that's hypocritical. You're going to tell, to get up here and to give this to me, what was a sermon. Like I wanted to really ask her that day, did you talk to your husband? You're saying that women can't be leaders, but yet you're leading a podcast. You are in charge of your podcast. There's other men that join here and you run it. And then to call women emotional. And it's like, there was a lot of things that were said that I was going to ask her questions. And again, I got sidetracked. A lot of it was because of that dude, Chris, and we never got back to it. And the reason why I'm airing this out now, and it's not that I don't want to talk to Suni, because, we talked a little bit before this, but hey, Suni, we could jump on and talk about it later. We could talk about it in private. Even towards the end of that, I said, hey, I don't want to air nothing out. We could talk about behind scenes.
And she took it the wrong way.
And I still hold to that today. I have questions to ask, because if we're going to talk in the community, then I have questions, as far as that community goes. I have questions to put out there to everybody. So I wanted everybody to hear me ask her.
And have the conversation.
That's really what I was trying to do.
And it was hard to do because there was multiple people on that panel when she sent Chris the link that said defend your position.
Yes.
So
I defended
he didn't just go on to just yell at everybody. He was invited to
defend my position.
Defend his position. So context is very important. Understanding what the background is very important. In order to make a sound assessment of a situation or a person or a thing, we must have all of the information from all perspectives and all sides. And if we don't have that, then we often make the wrong we get the wrong perception of what actually happens or what the character is of somebody. So all perspectives have to be heard. And Pam, I agree. They should have this conversation behind closed doors, one-on-one, but sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Suni doesn't always do it either. So it's like we all do it type thing. Doesn't make it right now, doesn't make it right. And at some point we have to keep ourselves accountable and actually communicate, because this is a virtual thing. And really the only way that you can have a relationship or build a relationship is to communicate as much as possible online, whether it's text or a phone call or like this on video behind scenes or whatever the case might be. And sometimes that just doesn't happen. There's that. Secondly, so I would say the only thing that I ever have an issue with anyone online, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're going to speak about the word, if you're going to speak about scripture, if you're going to teach about scripture, then we must be in line with the Spirit and what he says and what the truth is. And how do we know what the truth is? We know what the truth is when the Spirit of God is one with us and we are in a constant relationship with him, his entity, his person, because he is the Spirit of truth. Jesus straight up was like, I'm going to send you my helper so that you know what's what, so that you know what is truth and what is real and what's from heaven, because the Spirit sends what he hears from heaven and he speaks it to your ear, your spiritual ear that you hear. Now, if we're going to be teaching about the word, we have to be studying the word. And how do we understand the word? We understand the word when we are in constant communication with God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, so that we understand and discern what that is, because the Bible is spirit. It is understood by the Spirit, not flesh, not carnal, not personal understanding, not leaning to our understanding, our own fleshly mind, because we tend to go this way, that way, that way, that way, that way of our feelings. Now, I've been making a few posts over the time, because what I like to do is I like to study the word. I like to study it, especially if I'm going to talk about something. I go into prayer. I fast in certain areas. Not that this is like a list of things that I do and you should do. I'm just saying so I like to go into study on these things so that when I speak, the truth is coming out, and it's not based on my understanding, but what the Spirit brings to me. It might sound like gibberish to you, but it is for believers to hear, who have ears to hear, eyes to see, and minds to understand. And I pray that you have that tonight. If women were not to be leaders at all in the church, in the body of people, in heaven's nation, in God's people, his children, if we are not to be those things, then why are there female prophets? Why are there women who correct men to save their lives, who later become their wives after the events have happened? Because God is a God of order. There is a whole list of them that it was meaningful enough to list in the Bible, to mention in the Bible. We also have to understand that context matters. If you're going to take a scripture out of it, you got to read the whole chapter and understand what they were talking about, and really break it down and understand what was going on in those times, and then bring it up to modern times and really put it together, and then ask God, please give me clarity on what this scripture means and what it says. Because Jesus said to go out and make disciples. He didn't say men go out and make disciples. He didn't say women go out and make disciples. He said go out and make disciples, because what I'm going to send my Spirit so that you can do high and mighty wonders, more than I have done while I was here. When I'm gone, you will do even more because of the Spirit. And if that was the case, then when you go back, if that's what it was, then the scripture contradicts itself. How then, if the Spirit who gives to all accordingly, through one Spirit, everyone gets a gift or multiple gifts or whatever it is? If that's the case, it doesn't say men will get this and women will get this. And it says, I will pour my Spirit onto you, onto believers, onto people who believe in Christ. They receive the Spirit in order to walk and make disciples for God's kingdom, for God's glory, not for their own glory. If women were not to be able to teach, now it's not to usurp, and I'll explain to you what usurp means. For anyone who is unsure of that word, usurp means to seize and hold a position of office or power by force or without legal right. To pretender try to usurp the throne. To use without authority or right. Employ wrongfully. So a woman can be a teacher. A female can be a prophet. A teacher can do. A woman can do these things, not to usurp the church or the leaders of the church. They cannot take the leadership position by force. They are ordained and moved in order by the Holy Spirit. So
no, go ahead.
If we're going to understand scripture, we have to really understand it with truth. And not for our glory, but for God's glory. Because at the end of the day, the word points back up to God, and points back up for the salvation of his people. Not to point at other people, but to point up. Not to point at ourselves, not to point at other people, but to point up, so that the person who is hearing can be edified, have clarity, understand what the word says, who Jesus is, why he came, why God came, who God is, and why the Holy Spirit is here, and why we are forgiven of our sins in order to have eternal life after this, and to have a relationship unto him. That is our job, the job of the believer, the job of the disciples, the job of us, of the church, of God's church, which are the people. It is to make other disciples. And if you disciple other people, you mentor them in the scripture as well, which means you are a study of the scripture, so that you teach rightly and according to what God wills, and not what you do, because the Bible also talks about that. You come to the altar with all of your requests and your petitions to let loose, so that you can take on his yoke. And the peace of God that transcends all understanding will come onto you. Yes, it's a lot. So when anyone comes, so again, women can teach what's in the Bible. And Marla says, on women, I think what Suni was trying to say is that we are emotional, and that could be a bad trait in a position of power. I completely understand, and it's the same with men, because men also like to take crazy power, and it goes to anyone who's in power. If their heart is not in the right place, they will what's the word?
They'll abuse their position.
Abuse their power. So Pam, go back and listen to what you're saying. Chris disagreed with Suni, and y'all chose to use this platform without her to bring her up, yet you didn't have the combo with her. Pam, I will say, if you do go back onto her YouTube, her YouTube, because it's not on Facebook, after that broadcast, she did come on and she did speak by herself. She didn't invite Chris. She came on and she did talk to all of you about what was going on. So I totally hear what you're saying. I don't disagree that the two of them should hash it out to the side. I don't disagree with you. What I am saying is that she did go on by herself and do that. Now, I'm not speaking ill about Suni at all. What I'm saying is I'm trying to give clarity and edification on what is being taught from the Bible in that. I will also point out that a point in that live, someone said that Adam got some nookie, and therefore that's why he's a beta. How can he be lustful if they hadn't fallen yet? How can they know what was right or wrong if they hadn't eaten from the Bible yet? So with that understanding, there's a deeper conversation in that. And then went on to say that there's going to be marriage in the next world, in the next earth. There's not going to be marriage in the next earth, because we are specifically made to honor and glorify God. There won't be a need for any of all the other things.
Real quick,
there's that.
I'll jump in. And yes, Janet is right. And that was kind of the reason why I was getting on there, right? Because you bring up a good point. Yes, there are different views. And there's, yes, people are going to interpret things differently. And that my biggest concern is that we're having, but there was a group discussion that was going on, and it was misleading. And it was taking people in the wrong direction, especially Adam, a beta male. So in the community setting, if it was taken to the community already for discussion, then I'm a part of that community. Therefore, I jumped into the discussion. Pam, you're right. Yes, I can talk to Suni off that stage. I've also taken some time to think about what I was doing. The reason why I'm doing this is to air out my own business and to tell people that I'm wrong. So if you missed that part, yes, I said I might have been overly aggressive. I don't feel I was. Maybe I was. I will tell you I was irritated. I did try to speak to where I was at, and that's what I'm doing. There was comments made about me. I just want to let people know, no, I work with two women. So real quick, hit that, please. Oh, go ahead. Shelly.
Finish saying what you're saying, but I want to say something when you're done.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up with this. So,
and saying it in the heat of the moment doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Either.
So a couple things, right? Just to finish off with that, with what happened during that YouTube. One, what I was trying to get across is that there was people like, yes, I took the stance with Caitlyn Jenner, and part of what I was trying to make a point on is if you have 3, 4, 5 people up here talking about the Bible, okay, Samson cut his hair. Samson disobeyed God, but Samson redeemed himself.
His hair got cut.
His hair got cut, but he wasn't supposed to do it.
No.
Correct? He
didn't cut it. The woman yes. tricked him after she cut the hair, and he lost all his powers.
He lost all his powers.
He squandered he squandered his position.
Yes.
His whole life.
And he didn't use any of the gifts that God used, right? But at the end, he sacrificed himself and redeemed himself to God.
He asked God for forgiveness so that he can save his people while he was in prison, and he gave his life to do so. He was redeemed. That God recognized him in that moment.
So what I was trying to get across is like, hey, look, you're here attacking Caitlyn Jenner, or you're attacking these people. Hey, people fall. And that was my whole point I was trying to make, like, during that little thing. Was like, look, people fall. People can redeem themselves. I've seen drug dealers They bounce back. They go out there and they do amazing things, or drug addicts. And some people never do. Caitlyn Jenner, yeah, she changed her sex, but maybe she might be trying to redeem herself. We don't know. And I was trying to drive home the point. We don't know each other's personal relationship with God. The only person that knows that relationship is you or me. I can't tell Charlie or John Tisha what their personal relationship is. And they may come out and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Yeah, you are. Maybe we all struggle. There was a lot of things that were said. It's like, hey, I understand going to the problem and attacking the problem, but you got who was it? Janet, you're right. The Bible was a touchy subject, and that's really what it was.
And Suni, he's telling his side.
Can
where
I?
he's coming from. Yes, Chelly, you can.
Okay. So I want to say this. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me fix my headphones. All right. I want to say this. I have been looking through the comments, watching them one by one go by. Okay. One, let me explain something really and make it very, very clear to everybody watching. I care about all people. I care about all people's opinions. I care about all people's feelings. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, feel that everybody deserves a seat at the table. I don't care if they agree or they disagree. I believe everybody deserves a seat at the table. If we do not have people who have a difference of opinion, how are we ever going to be better in life? Then we will just have an echo chamber. This platform is not an echo chamber, and it will not be an echo chamber ever. We are going to agree to disagree respectfully. We do not bring people on here to make them feel like they are not welcome or they will not have a home here ever again. That is not what this is about. That is not what I am about. This is not what we are about. Okay? Now, I looked through some of these comments, and I will say this, because Pam, you have made several comments and you use the word y'all and this platform to create something, right? I had sat here quietly and respectfully, and Chris was speaking what he wanted to speak on, and he was agreeing with a lot of things. He admitted openly on this panel that he was frustrated. He said, yes, he may have come off rude and something else that somebody else said. But then people want to continue to call him out or make it seem like he's on this platform bashing Suni. Suni is one. We are all originals. We are all people that we have different lives. We have different opinions. We can agree to disagree. They didn't agree on something, from my understanding. They didn't agree on something. He felt some way about it. He was invited on, and they spoke on it, or they had their difference of opinion. Suni then made a video, correct me if I'm wrong, and spoke on it. Now, from what my understanding is, she did not attack Chris in that video. She just basically spoke on what she felt. She wasn't angry. She didn't call him names. She didn't say, I'm not friends with Chris anymore. She didn't say any of that in that video. In this video, this live feed, Chris did not say anything bad about Suni. He gave his side of the story, period. Yes, they can have this conversation off camera. Yes, I believe that from the beginning, anytime any of us have a difference of opinion on something, I think this is my personal opinion. Before jumping on camera, and I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's Suni, I don't care if it's Chris. I love them all. We all started this. We all set out on streetlights to make a difference and to be great and to unite and not fight. So that being said, before anyone makes a video about somebody that you are doing videos on your panels you should definitely reach out to them. Suni knows that because I've said that to her in the past. Chris and Jantisha know that because I have said that to them. But at the end of the day, here we are. At no time did he attack her. Like, I don't understand why people are on here trying to make it like he just attacked her or he just like reached out for blood. You know what the problem is? You people are the problem. You're trying to create a divide. You're trying to create bullshit when there is no bullshit. He simply stated how he felt. And guess what? He has the right to feel however he wants to feel, period. Suni has the right to make her videos and feel however she wants to feel, period. And if anything, I have never, ever told her, don't make a video, don't do this, don't do that. No, you know why? Because she's a grown-ass woman. That's why. The same with Chris. I'm going to sit here and tell Chris, oh, you can't talk about anything. You can't say anything that you want to do. And then someone mentioned in the comments, oh, that Chris has had time to think about it and all this stuff. Suni just did it of the spare of the moment. Well, guess what? Chris hasn't been live. You know why? Because we all work together. And my schedule has been off the chain. So that's why he's not been able to go live. But we are just winging it. These shows, we don't sit here and say, we're going to do a show specifically on A, B, C, and D. We were going to talk about Fauci, and then we were going to talk about whatever's weighing on us. If you look at the title, that's what it is. That's when it was Chris's time to talk. That's what he wanted to talk about. Do you want us to be fake? Do you want us to come on here and act like everything is so perfect and we all get along and all we're the bestest of friends and we don't disagree? Is that what you want? You want fake? If you want fake, this is not the channel for you. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the shares. But if you want fake, this is not it. And you take that however you want to take it. This is real. This is raw. This is live. This is live. And he's just saying how he feels, and it's a fucking problem. I don't understand that. And I'm literally pissed off at this point because I sat here watching the comments go by, and right away, the minute you don't play nice with everybody, or you're not sitting on here with a big old smile on your face and agreeing, oh yes, everything you say is right. If you guys said everything I said was right, I'd call you a liar and a hypocrite to your face. Because guess what? I am not right and I am not perfect all the time. And that is why I respect each and every one of them, because we say what we mean and we mean what we say. So if you cannot handle that, I'm sorry, this is not the platform for you. We are going to be real. We are going to be raw. And guess what? We are all adults. We are not going to have anyone dictate what we talk about and what we don't talk about, period.
Agreed.
If anybody can say anything about, I talk to Suni all the time. If there's something going on, she'll reach out. We haven't spoke a lot lately because of the fact that, again, my work schedule has been fucking nuts. Jantisha, Chris, and I, they are part of Just Us. We created Just Us so that everybody has a seat at the table. Everybody, even people we don't agree with. But we are never going to be fake. We are not going to come on here and act like we're perfect and we all do the right things. I don't agree with everything everybody says. Suni knows for a fact that I don't agree with everything she says. I do believe that a woman can be president. I do. She doesn't. And guess what? It's okay. We're still fucking friends. Somebody also made a comment. It seemed like when Cash stopped being on here, like everybody's fighting. Guess what? I love Cash. Cash is an amazing person. But guess what? Cash is not going to tell anybody what they can and cannot talk about because we are adults. Period.
Hey, can I chime in real quick? And if you guys have been watching from the beginning, even when we first started doing some of these things with Cash, and I was jumping on there, disagreeing with people, their stances, taking a different approach to things, or I remember one of the first videos I did, they were talking about how black people were profiled. And I was like, man, here in California, I know a lot of white dudes that are profiled, and I gave a whole different view that was different from the rest of the panel, and nobody got upset because we have different opinions. And it's not and I like Cash. I mean, good dude. He was doing some good stuff there, but it was the platform. But it wasn't just Cash. It was the people that he brought to the table, because we're all like-minded. We don't always have to agree. And I just want to, before we end or anything, like, I just want to get this out there, like, hey, because I know Suni, and part of the reason I did this, like, Suni, I knew you were going to be on watching. I purposely didn't invite you on tonight because I didn't want to fight or argue with you online. I didn't want it to be a debate. We could for real talk offline. I just wanted to get out there and give my stance, because we don't, and people got to see, we don't always agree. We really didn't agree that night. I didn't agree with a lot of stuff that anybody was saying on there. But does that not mean that we can't come together later? No. To me, we could chalk it up, it's all to the past. But I want people to see this. I want people to see that I was being real and being honest and admit my faults and say that I was wrong. So, that's a big part of the reason why we're here. And just to show the people that, hey, this is what we need to do to have, to have real conversations. Yeah.
I also want to add, at the end of the day, when you have love and passion for God, you're going to move differently and act differently, because God comes first before anything else. So I think your heart was in the right place, and standing up and speaking truth and stopping that misleading conversation, because you got to be careful about what you're speaking and saying out into the world. So I just wanted to share that.
Did you guys hear that?
So I just wanted to, yeah, you could hear it. You could hear loud and clear. So this is Suni's comment. She says, at no point did she attack him. And Suni, just so that you know, at no time did Chris ever say you attacked him. He didn't feel attacked. He said you were not attacked. I made sure when I made my statement a few minutes ago that I stated that you did not attack him. You gave your point of view. And I think that Chris mentioned early on in this video that he was addressing some of the comments because people stated he did that because you were a woman. Look, I will say, I want to address that comment really quick too. So on here, guess what? Chris is a man and I am a woman. And if Chris says something to me, I am smart enough and I know him well enough to know that it has nothing to do with my gender, that he's saying something to me. If he's saying something to me, it's because that's what he truly feels. And again, this will not be a platform for fake. I expect Chris to call me out when he feels I'm not right about something, and we can respectfully agree to disagree. There are things that Chris and I and Jantisha and I don't exactly agree on. I think we had a conversation a while back, and I think it had to do something with like transgenders
and abortions. We didn't see eye to eye on
abortions.
Yeah.
We don't see eye to eye on it, and I respect what Chris's opinion is. And guess what? He respects my opinion on it, because that's the way adults should freaking act. Period. We can agree to disagree.
The key is to enter the conversation with an understanding mind and heart, with understanding. I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't agree with you. That's what's missing in a lot of conversations that happen all the time, anywhere. It doesn't matter who's having them. It's what's been happening for a while. Personal relationships, online, it doesn't matter. Just come to the conversation with an understanding. I understand where you're coming from. I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with you, and leave it there. That's how you meet in the middle. Because really, people just want to know that they've been heard, to know that they've been understood, to know that they can have that conversation. And we might not, and it's not to convince the other person of XYZ. It's just to have an understanding of something in a conversation.
Yep. So I think I kind of got everything out. that I think needed to get out there. Soon, if you're still on again, I have nothing personal against you. I mean, I really do like you. We've had good conversations. To what our friend was saying, it was just, you guys were talking Bible. I was really moved. I really disagreed with it at the end of the day. Things went a little far. I'll admit that. I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I really don't care for your dude, Chris, that you have on there. What's his name? Chris is even, I don't remember. The dude I was arguing with.
I think his name was Eric.
Eric, yeah. I really don't care for that dude. But just because I don't care for him doesn't mean I still won't have a conversation. There's people I work with that I really don't like, and I still talk to them every day. And it's just a personal thing. I mean, it is what it is. But
Michelle, there's no animosity right now.
Yeah.
It's just, it's honesty, it's truth, it's authenticity, it's genuine what's going on in the heart and the mind. If you guys are reading or seeing this, interpreting as a breakdown of things, you're receiving it wrong. We're receiving it wrong. There's nothing but love. Just trying to be honest, trying to be truthful, trying to give some clarity, trying to give some understanding, because understanding is where peace comes from. That's where unity comes from. That's where love comes from, when we understand each other. He was just trying to explain himself because he hasn't been able to. He had surgery. I mean, no one should have to explain themselves. What I'm saying is, people shouldn't have to explain themselves for anyone to understand. But for you, for the sake of this, because we're being open and honest, he had surgery on his mouth. He wasn't talking to anybody. He was in pain for a week. So there's that. And he works, and we have 4 kids, and we're not on here all the time. And Charlie was working 12-hour days. So a little compassion, a little understanding goes a long way, you guys.
Well,
and we're not bashing anybody. We're not putting anybody down. It's just what it is.
Well, this is the part that really frustrated me. And I'm sorry that when I did speak, I spoke because I was super frustrated. And again, you guys already know me very well. These comments, and when people come in here, anywhere, right? When people read, I'm not biting my nails. It's like literally like hangnails. Like I have super long nails. Like, look, my nails are long. My nails are long. It's like little extra skin that's driving me nuts because I was gardening earlier. But anyways, so this is the thing. Like, this will never, I'm going to say it again, this will never be a platform where we are fake. This is never going to be a platform where we're not going to talk about things that we disagree on. And guess what? If Chris and I have a disagreement about something, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it right here. And if it happens live, then it happens live. So be it. If it happens backstage, if it happens just when we're talking in a conversation, that's the way it's going to be, period. This is the problem that I have with people, that people want real and people want raw, right? But they don't want it when it doesn't fit their narrative. That is just as bad as liberals, and we will not have that on this page, period. This page will always, always stay true to itself, which is honesty and truth. That is Chris's truth. Suni has her truth, period.
And somewhere in the middle is the actual truth.
Right.
But this is my thing. Like, I swear to God, I feel like people are like right away, because Suni, somewhere in the comment, she said someone told her that she was being talked about. Well, guess what? You're telling her that she's being talked about.
She said, I'm not going, no. She said, I wasn't watch. Someone told me this was being talked about. I don't have anything to say anymore, though. Then she said, I'm not going to change who I am or what I talk about. If people don't rock with that, I'm perfectly fine. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Also wasn't saying that either, but totally hear you and understand. Don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Well, this is my thing. Okay, my point was not so much even just what she said, but the fact that somebody is going to run back to her and tell her, first of all, Suni knows me well. I have no problem telling her myself. I'm a grown-ass woman, period. And anything that I got to say to Jantisha, I'm going to say it to John Tisha. Anything I got to say to Chris, I'm going to say it to Chris. Anything that I've ever had to say to Cash, I've said it to Cash. Anything that I have to say to Suni, I'll say it to Suni. I don't need people running back and creating an issue when there's an issue. The bottom line is Chris was speaking his truth, and he did not bash her in any fucking way. But people want to create stuff. People want to make it more than it is. Knock the shit off. Grow up. Act like a damn adult. This is never going to be an echo chamber. And again, if you don't want real, if you don't want raw, if you don't want Chris to speak his truth when he needs to, or John Tisha to speak her truth, or me to speak my truth, or you don't want Suni to speak her truth when she needs to speak her truth, then we're probably not the people for you. That's what I'm going to say to you. That's where I'm leaving it. I love all people and I respect everyone's opinions. I respect everyone's thoughts and everyone's ideas. And guess what? You know what? We're human. Like, I don't understand how people would want us all to be the same. Let's all worship Donald Trump. Let's all be conservatives. I've told you guys a million times, I'm not a Republican. And I would never, ever hold a label again. I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. And guess what? I do believe in pro-choice, period. My values lean conservative. I lean conservative, but there are things about me that I have that lean, and Chris and I have had this conversation before. We don't agree. I believe that just because you're a homosexual or just because you decide you want to, not because you decide, if you feel that you are an opposite sex and you want to be a transgender, I think that you are entitled to that if you are an adult. I think you're entitled to that. I still love you and respect you, and I don't think you're going to hell for it. There, I said it.
Oh, I don't think they're going to hell either.
I'm just saying.
That's between them and God.
So,
I just believe that we believe what we believe, and I respect it. I don't believe that. I'm not gonna even. I'm done. I'm over this. So can we leave on this? These comments piss me fuck off.
Look, love and light, you guys. Love and light.
We're getting some good comments here, some good feedback. Hey, look, we appreciate you guys showing up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll end it on that tonight. I just wanted you guys to see that, hey, we can hash this out. And I am going to hash it out with Suni. We will have a talk. It might not be tonight, it might not be tomorrow, but I'm going to talk to her because I'm not going to let it go. And I'm not going to, but I'm also not, like, I'm not against her. It was just what it was. We appreciate you guys.
Meaning you're not going to let it go, on bad terms.
Yeah, on bad terms. Like we will. Yeah, I was getting like, I'm not going to let it go off on bad terms. Like we will get there. I appreciate you guys showing up. I know John Tisha and Shelly do. And yes, actually, I got some on the barbecue right now that I got to go get to. And John Tisha and Shelly, I know we talked about it, but thank you for, letting me go on my little rant. I think people need to see us clear the air and know that we are people. We're not what you see on the news. We're not, other podcasters, whatever, where they're just being fake, putting on a show. Like, this is the only way we come together as a country is having these conversations, and they're not always pretty, and life's not always pretty. I mean, it's ugly, and sometimes you got to watch that ugly stuff, and then sit back and let it kind of digest, and then you could watch something good come out of it.
We grow through the struggle.
We do. So I want to leave everybody with that. You guys have anything? You guys all have a good night.
You're gonna go barbecue, or are you leaving
I gotta
right
go
now?
grab this. Yeah, I'm gonna
And
let
I
you guys.
definitely want to say that Chris is not, whoever made that comment, I don't even know what you mentioned about. It really bothers me that someone would think that you were attacking Suni because she was a woman,
Honestly,
or use the word attack even, right? But first of all, Chris is the only male. And then it's John Tisha, me, and Brittany. He's the only guy. I'm like, I feel
I
fucking
try to
sorry for
recruit
him.
other males, and when I'm like, yeah, it's me and 3 women, they're like, oh, 3 women. I'm like, yes,
3 loving women.
they're awesome.
Period.
They actually listen to what you're telling them, and then disagree with you. And
Like I said, I
everybody.
understand what you're saying. I
No,
understand.
I
where you're
have.
coming from. I just
And-
disagree with you.
Hey, but no, I have to try to get other people, but you're right. It's me and you guys. And I'm
Balance them out.
I balance it out. Because me and Shelly we don't have
Sarah,
the
she's been
emotion.
busy.
Yeah, the emotion there is. I mean, I got
That's not 100% true.
I have emotion sometimes. Like Adam Toledo, like that made me emotional.
Yeah.
Like I cried, and I don't rarely ever do I cry, but it was like he reminded me of my son, same age
Yeah.
and stuff. So like, yeah, I get emotional, but then there's a lot of times where I'm not. So that's where me and Charlie, we're the balance to you and Brittany.
So I will just say love and light, brothers and sisters. Love and light. Lead with love. Lead with understanding. You're leading? Okay,
Yes.
sneaking out. Lead with love. Lead with understanding. Really, that's the heart and function of it all. Because without love, you are just a sounding gong. You make noise. You have nothing else. Nothing else is in that. Just love. When you lead with love, everything else falls in place. Love and understanding. Period. Like I said, period. Lead with love. Lead with love.
And mine, only thing I want to leave you with is I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I appreciate all the videos you guys send. I appreciate your comments, whether they're agreeing with me or not agreeing with me, because I don't want an echo chamber. And again, I cannot express enough how we are going to always be real, and we are always going to be very raw. And you know what? As friends, we are going to go through it. I mean, look in your own families. You go through it as families. You go through it in your marriages. You go through it with your children. You go through it with your parents, with your siblings. So to think that friends won't go through it is ridiculous. And again, we're not going to be fake. Period. We're just not going to be fake. John Tisha knows I love her. Chris knows I love him. Suni knows I love her. She knows that I'm always there for her. Period. So do not, again, I'm really,
Love and light, Shelly. Love and light.
my mind is
Grace,
really,
mercy, peace, and love.
my mind is really blown actually after some of these comments, to be honest. But that being said, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And we are going to be friends. We are friends. We don't agree, but we're friends, period. And we may not be perfect and we might be a little fucked up, but guess what? We're all in the same fight at the end of the day. On that note, have a great night.
Night.